Once upon a time in a quiet suburban town, inside a bright but tense household, a little girl named Alina sat trembling on the cold kitchen floor, her small arms protectively wrapped around her baby sister as tears streamed down her cheeks, whispering in a shaky voice, "Please don't hurt us." While her pink bow hung loosely from her hair as though even it had lost strength, and standing in front of her was a tall, glamorous woman in a red dress whose beauty hid the bitterness in her heart, her finger pointed harshly at the child as the broken milk bottle lay spilled on the glossy tiles, a symbol of mistakes too small to deserve cruelty but magnified by anger, and the woman's voice lashed like a whip, scolding the children for something they could never control, her tone filled with resentment not for the milk but for the life she felt chained to, because she had married into wealth, yet still carried the poison of arrogance within her soul, and as the little girl sobbed, her fragile voice echoed through the kitchen, "We're sorry, we're sorry." But instead of compassion she received fury, until suddenly the sound of heavy footsteps at the front door changed everything, because the man of the house, a millionaire businessman named Armin, had just returned home earlier than expected, his leather briefcase still in hand, his sharp blue suit catching the glow of the afternoon sun as he froze in the doorway, his eyes narrowing at the scene before him, his daughter crying, his baby trembling, and his wife leaning over them with rage in her eyes, and in that instant time seemed to stop as Armin's breath grew heavy, his chest filled with both fire and heartbreak, because all his wealth and power meant nothing if his little girls lived in fear inside the very home he had promised would be their sanctuary, and though he was a man respected by society for his empire, his contracts, his properties, and his endless influence, in that moment he was not a CEO but a father whose heart shattered hearing his child plead not for toys, not for riches, not for gifts, but for mercy, whispering, "Please don't hurt us," and he dropped his briefcase with a thud that echoed louder than thunder, his voice rising with both command and sorrow as he asked, "What is happening here?" And his wife, startled by his sudden arrival, tried to twist her expression into innocence, stammering excuses about spilled milk, about teaching discipline, but Armin's eyes were sharp, his soul pierced by the sight of his daughter's red swollen eyes, the streaks of tears on her innocent face, and at that moment he realized that sometimes the greatest battles a man must fight are not in boardrooms but within the walls of his own home, and he rushed forward, kneeling down to scoop his daughter into his arms, holding both girls close, whispering, "You are safe, Daddy is here now," while his heart silently broke into pieces, and his mind raced with memories of his own childhood, when he too had been raised in a house where money was plenty but love was scarce, and he had sworn he would never let history repeat itself, but now he felt betrayed by the very partner he trusted to share his children's lives, and as he held them, the house suddenly felt divided, not of marble floors and chandeliers, but of love and cruelty, compassion and arrogance. And though the outside world saw him as a powerful millionaire, inside he was just a father whose most priceless treasure was the tearful face of his little girl begging not to be hurt, and he knew at that very second that everything was about to change forever, because no amount of spilled milk could justify a child's fear, and no woman, no matter how beautiful, had the right to crush the fragile hearts of children who only sought love. And as the silence stretched long and heavy, viewers, let me pause here to remind you that life is not measured by wealth but by kindness, and if you believe no child should ever cry alone, make sure you subscribe to this channel so together we can share stories that remind the world about compassion, because every like and every comment spreads a message of humanity that someone out there might desperately need to hear today. And with that, the first chapter of this powerful story closes on a cliffhanger, with Armin standing in the kitchen holding his daughters tight, his wife trembling with fear not of spilled milk but of losing everything she thought was untouchable, while the audience waits to see what a millionaire father will do when faced with the most priceless choice of his life, protect his empire, or protect his children's hearts, and the answer, my friends, will unfold in Chapter 2.